The Education Channel and the Naples Alliance for Children are pleased to present a special TV program designed to offer strategies for effective parenting. The show features child development experts and it spotlights important topics parents may be dealing with. Now, here's Myra Shapiro.
Welcome as Naples Alliance for Children looks at issues of interest to our children and their families. Today we're going to look at environment. Such a broad topic, huge. But we're going to go focus in on how the environment affects our children, their families. Really, it's the whole world. The whole world is our environment, I think.
Yeah.
And because of that, lately, I've been reading headlines all over the place. It's in fact just this last week, we've had on fracking, which is the oil business that's right here in Collier County. There's a lot going on there, and I'll ask our guests once I introduce them that just who to contact in regard to that issue. And also the big headline today was alligators. Alligators and crocodiles. Not today, it was yesterday. I want to be correct. And we'll talk about that, and I'm going to introduce my guests. The second half we're going to talk about the animals themselves. But right now I'd like to introduce my guests from the Conservancy of Southwest Florida. When we think environment, we think Conservancy. There's a lot of other organizations that do this, and that will be mentioned at the end of our program with also the links to everything. My guests today are, and I'm going to read it because I never get this right, Rachel Forbes, who is the education manager. There's Rachel.
Hi.
Yes, that's your name tag, for the Conservancy of Southwest Florida. And my other guest is Michelle Rebilas.
Rebilas, you got it
right.
Wow.
Education Program Coordinator with the Conservancy of Southwest Florida. And the second half of the show, we're going to have two special guests. And just wait for those. We're going to be joined by a baby alligator and a snake, two of my favorite animals.
Mine too.
Let's just start out by saying that Florida ranks second from the bottom nationally in environmental education. That is not a good place to be. But we have two people here, and we have an organization and other organizations, including the public schools that are, and private schools, that are taking this and really trying to educate our children so their parents will know what's going on, and also they will carry this on into adulthood. And that's our purpose.
Absolutely.
Now, Collier County, first of all, if you could just tell me, Rachel, can you just start as to what sort of education programs, what do you do at the Conservancy? Very quickly, but what do you do there?
Sure. Our education department is all about educating the public as well as schools about Southwest Florida environments and wildlife. So we educate over 9,000 kids every year in the county surrounding the Conservancy, and we teach them all about the animals that they encounter here in Southwest Florida, the habitats, and the conservation issues. But then aside from that, we also teach the public at our nature center. We have a 21-acre nature center where we teach our public about these topics and these issues as well, so that we can educate not only the kids but also the adults about Southwest Florida.
And I've been to the education center. I love that place. But what about the kids? Where do you educate them? Do you come to the schools? Do you, I know some of the things on the beaches and all this, but where do you educate the kids?
We provide field trips as well as outreach programs. So we will go to the schools, and we do this during school. We also do after-school programs as well. And then we also have field trips where the kids come to us, and we take them around our nature center.
And Michelle, just what What topics do you have in this? And you can maybe mention your camp too.
Sure. Topics for our field
For
trips
the
and our
field
outreach
trips and
yeah, well, our outreach programs, we have 5 different ones. So we have one all about birds, where we learn about birds and adaptations. We have programs about predators and prey. We have programs about reptiles. So it depends on what the teacher is interested in teaching and where they are with their curriculum. And then we can come out to the school and offer those different topics all about different animals and habitats. At our nature center, we have STEM field trips as well.
STEM. What's STEM?
Science, technology, engineering, and math. And we have 2 different ones. We have aquatic ecosystems, where the students come and they learn all about aquatic ecosystems, and they actually get their feet wet in our filter marsh and dip net, catching fish, learn about water quality issues. They go into our STEM lab right there on site. So that's a really fun one. And then we also have our endangered species study STEM field trip as well.
And the endangered species, I'm going to just, you have a hospital there, don't you? Or do you take, I mean, that's not just endangered species, but those are species that are in danger.
Yeah.
Can you just mention that?
Sure, yeah. Our wildlife hospital is right there on site at our nature center. They treat about 3,200 animals a year, and those are all native Florida wildlife. So some might be endangered, but also might be animals you see in your backyard, like squirrels, gopher tortoises, raccoons, all kinds of different species. And that's a round-the-clock job. That's something that we also educate the public about, is our role in the wildlife rehabilitation.
And I know people can go visit. I know you've got that pond there with all those birds and everything. So it's just it's a great place to go, and not just for the classes that you have, and I'm happy to hear that you do the curriculum. It meshes in with the teacher's curriculum. But do the teachers, how do they get, I mean, you come in as experts. Do the teachers, because they have to do follow-up, what do you do with that teacher who doesn't really know that much?
Sure. Well,
Rachel?
all of our programs are linked to the Florida Sunshine State Standards. So we do work with the teachers a lot with that. We actually provide pre-lessons and post-lessons to our teachers, so they can actually introduce the material before we do our program with them, and then they can have something to follow up with to enhance their and build on their learning even more.
So they can go, what type of, do they go to classes? What do they do?
No, we provide it to them online. So it'll be a detailed activity or lesson that they can kind of follow to teach the kids, and they can get it from, actually it's on our website for this.
And do you have institutes or?
Yeah, so we actually provide a STEM teacher workshop during the summer. It's in the beginning of the summer and the end of the summer. And we provide this teacher workshop where we have teachers come to this week-long workshop, and they get to learn about incorporating STEM instruction into their classroom.
And now, Naples Alliance for Children, outside of all the parents, teachers, but one of the big things is, in fact, we have a dinner coming up where it'll be maybe past when, when this is broadcast, but for early childhood teachers. Now, your early childhood programs, because I know you feel you have to start when they're really young.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we definitely believe in making connections with children as young as possible and getting them exposed to nature and immersed in nature. And we have our new Little Explorer play zone, which is at the Conservancy Nature Center, and it's a room dedicated just to that pre-K age level and under, which has a crawl through gopher tortoise burrow and a bald eagle's nest, and we do programs in there geared towards that age level, our Little Explorers programs.
And what are the kids getting out of this other than crawling through holes?
Well, yeah, we want to have the children exposed to nature at a young age so that they feel a sense of ownership with nature and a sense of empowerment to protect nature, and having that opportunity to actually pretend to be a gopher tortoise and crawl through the burrow, we believe gives them that empowerment to later care about the gopher tortoise and the other species that would be in the gopher tortoise habitat.
Now, do you go and tell me if there's anyone else who goes into the schools. Are you the primary school go-to people?
We have a team. We have an education team. So aside from us, there are others on our team that also go and teach the programs.
And are there any other organizations that you go with, that you coordinate with?
Absolutely. We have quite a few partnerships. We partner with Boys and Girls Club of Collier County, and we go out and we do after-school programs with them. So we do outreach, and they come to us for field trips. We've partnered with several organizations over the years to, really reach as many kids as possible.
So that for anyone watching this, you are open, whoever it is, an organization, maybe the private schools. You probably go into the private schools already.
Yes.
But just I'm Boys and Girls Club and some of the after-school programs, you work with them.
Yes.
Now, are there any other? I know I've been to Shark Valley, Corkscrew. I'm talking about other areas in town. Outside of Corkscrew Swamp, I think there are things on Tiger Tail over in Marco, aren't there? Or do you know of any? If you don't, I'm sure we can find out. Do you know of any other places in the Collier County area where people can go and see nature outside of, say, Corkscrew and see?
Oh, yeah. Here in Southwest Florida, there's all sorts of, it's right in our very own backyard. So there's all sorts of organizations, and places for people to go and visit here in Southwest Florida. So that's really great because people are able to have many opportunities to get exposed. But at the Conservancy, we have natural habitats as well as indoor animal discovery centers where people can get up close with wildlife.
And there's also right next door to you is the zoo.
Yeah, we have the zoo right next door, and the Gordon River Greenway just opened up
Yes,
not too long
and
ago. So that's
going to be
a nice connected natural area right by the Conservancy as
and
well.
I know that you probably are going to get involved in the Blue Zone. That is, if you haven't heard about it, you're going to hear about it, which is getting people out and walking and doing things.
Yes.
So I can see where you're trying, along with a lot of other people in Collier County, to push that second from the bottom ranking
Definitely.
up and starting with kids. And we're going to move now to, I'm just going to go into the next show. First of all, let me just ask you, is there anything from this segment that you feel people should, just like one sentence, should remember from this segment?
Our main mission is protecting Florida's water, land, wildlife, and future. And it's all about building that connection, learning about the environment, learning how to respect the environment.
And Michelle, anything to add to that?
I would second that. I think when it comes to people being exposed to nature and having maybe some fears about nature, the best thing we can do is learn about nature, and that helps us to feel more comfortable and then also want to protect our environment.
And respect of nature. We teach respect for other people, and we need to respect
the environment.
Yeah, Thank you. And we're going to move on there are lots of alligators around town right now, along with this spring, and the animals are coming out. People are leaving, in a way, and the animals are coming in. And in our next part of the show, we're going to greet our other two guests. I don't even know their names. Does the alligator have a name?
They do have names.
Okay.
Yeah. We have Huey, the alligator.
Huey the alligator,
And
not Allie the alligator. Huey the alligator.
And we
Okay.
have Peaches, the red rat snake.
The Peaches, the red rat snake, because she looks peachy.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Well, we'll see you in a few minutes, and stay with us, and you'll meet our animal friends.
The Naples Alliance for Children program will return.
The Education Channel, your window to education.
Now back to the Naples Alliance for Children TV show.
Welcome back as Naples Alliance for Children looks at connecting families to conservation. And I want to welcome back my guests, Rachel Forbes and Michelle Rebilas,
Yep, you got it. Rebilas.
Who are from the Conservancy of Southwest Florida. And we want to introduce our guests, our second guest. I'm sorry, girls, but these are my favorite guests.
That's okay.
We have
Glad you like
Huey, the alligator, and Huey is so happy he is smiling. Now,
Peaches.
Who is Peach?
She is a red rat snake.
And she is a little bit edgy here today because she's moving around and she's looking at her environment. She's trying to, with her tongue, I take it, she's trying to see what is going on here.
Yeah, she's just smelling around, trying to get herself comfortable.
Okay,
You
well,
can
we'll
see
let
she's
her
wrapping
get
herself around.
comfortable. And then we're going to talk about these two absolutely wonderful specimens of their, what do they call them?
Animal
There's-
ambassadors.
Ambassadors, they're animal ambassadors, and they sure are great ones. Now, we have these around. I mean, I have them, I live in a condo. Snakes are up and down the walk. Snakes are in our grill sometimes. Alligators are all over the place. You go on a golf course and you go for your ball that's next to a log, and that log moves because it's an alligator. So let's just see, we're talking about conservation, we're talking about species that are native here, that are live with us.
Sure.
And alligators, he is so happy, and it looks like he just wants to start talking. Now, this is a little guy.
Yes.
He's so cute.
Yeah.
But he grows into, how big does he grow?
Generally, adult male alligators, maybe 8 to 10 feet long. So he's got quite a bit of growing left to do. This little guy, this is Huey. He is just under 2 years old at this point. They do grow about 12 inches a year, so he's a little bit small. Him and his brothers were the runts of their clutch, of their group of eggs. So they were a little smaller when they were born. But
Can
yes.
I say hi to Huey?
Sure, if you want to say hi, you just kind of touch him on the back there.
I can't go from the front.
No, just because, they do have teeth, and even though he's really used to coming out and being an animal ambassador, we still want to be safe.
And he has a very hard skin.
He does, yeah.
And it kind of, I don't want to go backwards, but it's rough.
Yeah,
Although his underbelly is kind of...
Yeah, softer.
Yeah, he has scales. He's a reptile, so his dry, scaly skin, and then those bumps on his back are called osteoderms, which are basically like a suit of armor for protection for him, but also helps him to absorb sunlight. They act like solar panels.
Big guy. Now, the little guy, who are the predators for these, besides people?
Yeah, when they're little, they actually do face some predators. Large birds of prey will eat baby alligators. Even adult alligators will eat other babies, like adult males will eat eat babies of another female.
And his eyes, they are not like they're kind of big.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, they are apex predators. They're at the top of that food chain, so they do need to be able to see very well. They also have a special eyelid called a nictitating membrane, which is clear and closes over their eye when they're swimming and when they're hunting in the water. So it acts like goggles under the water.
Has his own built-in goggles.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, they're very well adapted for this environment.
He still smiles. Now, with alligators? A lot of people are really afraid of them. I guess if I saw one, what do you do when you see a big alligator?
Well, if you see a big alligator, the best thing to do is just give the alligator the space that he deserves. You want your personal space, he wants his personal space as well. It is his home also. So if you're on a golf course or out in the middle of a big cypress swamp, it's best to just give the animal its space. especially even with the babies, it's very important that when we see baby alligators out in the wild that you also stay back, and that's because the mother alligator actually is close by. Anytime you see a baby, the mother is very, very protective of her young, and so it's best to give them their space, and you know, they can be pretty intimidating, but most of the time they want nothing to do with us, and so it's best to you know, give them the space that they deserve.
And I went slogging with Clyde Butcher a few years ago, and at that time they warned us on the alligator, the nests, that you don't go near a nest.
Right, right. You definitely want to make sure, you know, that you're not approaching them in any way. And it's especially important for, sometimes people come to Southwest Florida and as a tourist attraction, they might go and try to feed an alligator to see them up close. That is something we definitely want to never do. Never want to feed any wildlife, but especially the alligators, because the only real reason an alligator will approach a person is if they already associate people with food. Normally, they shouldn't do that. They shouldn't associate people with food because we're not the food that they like to eat. So they're going to try and get away.
And that is, I know that in developments that have ponds, you don't keep your own little pet alligator or your raccoons or by feeding them.
Right.
Let's just go on, because look at how sad Peaches is.
Oh,
she is so sad because Huey got
getting all the
attention.
Right.
Oh,
She wants her
gee.
turn.
Okay. Well, can I pet
Absolutely.
Peaches? They are so. I mean, that's why people make purses, pardon me, out of them, because they really are. They're not slimy at all.
No, they're, and that's what we do at the Conservancy when we, you know, introduce these animals to them, is they're very different than what people think. They're not slimy at all. They're actually very dry, scaly skin, just like other reptiles.
And now, just what, if I see this snake or a black snake, which are those black curly things are so common, what do I do? What if it's a little kid?
Sure.
I want a snake. I mean, I want a chameleon. Oh, that is the big thing.
Right.
What should kids go after them?
Well, you know, they're very neat creatures, but a lot of people are afraid of snakes. A lot of people fear snakes. These are actually really good guys to have around. The red rat snake is a very common snake here in Florida. A lot of people see the black snakes you were referring to, which are the black racers. Very common snakes, and not harmful at all. They are not something that is a dangerous snake. And so people shouldn't fear them. Just like the alligators, you should leave them alone. Let them be in their space. Let them be, it's their homes too. So let them just be, give them their space. These are really good guys to have around because they're mouse and rat control. They like to feed on rats.
Yes. Now, with these snakes, how does one, snakes are poisonous. There's the rattler that goes up.
Venomous, yeah.
Venomous, okay. Thank you. What should you do if you see a snake? Say there's a rattler, which I know those are on the golf courses. What do you do?
You leave it alone. You leave it alone. If you don't bother it, it's not going to bother you. And you know, the venomous snakes are actually more uncommon to see. We only have 4 species out of the 28 species of snakes we have here in Southwest Florida. Only 4 of them are venomous. So most likely you're going to see these type of common snakes. Just leave them alone, give them their space.
And just to be careful, it's just like if you don't walk out in the middle of the street because, you know, that to just be careful, just if you see a snake, you don't run or you just walk away from it.
Absolutely.
Just go the opposite direction.
And if you see a rattler going,
just back away and walk away.
Back away. You don't need that golf ball that's right by the rattler.
Right.
And you don't need the, now they eat rats, you say?
These guys, yeah, they eat rats and mice. We actually have some snakes here in Florida that will feed on the venomous snakes, which those are the really good guys. So they're very good. They're nature's natural mouse and rat control. So they're really good to have around.
And how, I'm just curious, when they eat, is this a baby snake?
Red rat snakes don't get that big. They only get, on average 3 to 4 feet long maybe. So she's actually, she's almost full grown.
And she's going to eat a rat?
Yep, it depends. They can actually unhinge their jaws and they can eat things that are much bigger than their faces or than their mouths. So she'll feed on something a little bit smaller, but not a huge rat. But
Now, I have a dog. My dog walks on leash. You keep your dogs on leash. Now, should I be careful if my dog spots? Usually it's a black snake. What should I just keep him away from it?
Absolutely, that snake's probably going to run away.
Okay.
So just keep your dog. Make sure the dog doesn't chase after it, because then that's maybe when something could happen because the snake feels threatened. But just keep your dog away from it, and the snake's going to probably just run off.
Now, Michelle, what is the lesson that you give, say, to preschool kids about these animals?
Well, a couple different things. When talking about snakes, and if somebody's interested in having a snake or another reptile as a pet, we always talk about being a responsible pet owner and knowing what animal you're getting as a pet before, if it's a snake that grows to be 20 feet, you might want to choose a different animal. We also teach about the importance of giving wildlife their space, and not all wildlife is scary, and to make sure that you are knowledgeable about the animals that live here in our own backyard.
And then you teach these. My grandson got a snake from his grandmother, and we were very careful not to get one that went so big. And what do you teach? What do you look at when you look at elementary school, high school, into adulthood? What do you want them to know about snakes and any wildlife?
We want them to understand the habitats and the wildlife that live in the habitats and why they're so important down here. It is very important to protect a lot of animals, protect our habitats where these animals are living. So we give them the conservation message about what they can do to help protect these habitats and wildlife.
And you know what I'd like you to do is we'll have a link at the end of the broadcast and on our website where I'm sure that you have information on your website that has a list of what you can do to protect our environment.
Yes.
And not just the environment, but we haven't even gotten into birds, we haven't gotten into waters, we haven't gotten into a lot of the things that we have here. I mean, one program we talked about drowning, that is there, but water is also involves environment, that it needs to be. So if you could, I'm going to give the number to call and to the Conservancy, and also we'll have other, not just Conservancy, but other places to call too. But the Conservancy is www.conservancy.org, and that'll be at the end of the show. And a number to call is 239-262-0304. I'm going to repeat that again. 239-262-0304. And if anyone wants to get up close and personal with one of you guys, is that okay to ask for either Rachel or Michelle? Will you be around, or one of your...
Absolutely, yeah, we're always there.
Okay,
member
and
of
just
team.
look for them as they go. Now, if you could, just what is the overall message you have really for families when they're dealing with anything in the environment?
Definitely, like I said before, respect the environment, learn to coexist with them. It's their home too. Respect the wildlife, and do your part to help protect it.
And I think that is the message that we have. Let's protect our environment.
Yes.
The only way we can protect something is be knowledgeable.
Exactly.
And Huey and Peaches say goodbye and keep them living a long time. And we'll see you next time.
you for watching the Naples Alliance for Children, presented by the Education Channel. If you have questions or comments for the show, please call 649-5260 or visit napleschild.org.